For the last 13 years, I've had a really complicated relationship with my skin. And of course, it all started when I was 13. I started going through puberty and I started to break out quite a lot.
Basically, I have no love for myself.
And it really hit me in my self-confidence. I was depressed. I would cry almost every single day. I skipped a lot of school. I used to cover up all the mirrors in the bathroom and in my room with a blanket, so as I go from one room to another, I don't see myself in the mirror because I just really couldn't handle the sight of my face.
Look at this.
So I've had a difficult relationship with my skin, but now, as I'm about to turn 26, I've been reflecting quite a lot on the journey that I've had with my skin. And in case you're somebody as well that's been struggling with your skin and you've had breakouts or you had other skin conditions, I'm with you. I so recognize how you've been feeling, but I also wanted to offer you hopefully a hopeful and a more zoomed out perspective of at least what I've been able to learn through these challenges with my skin. So when I turned 13 is where I started to break out a little bit here and there because my body, of course, was preparing to go through puberty. But it wasn't really until I think I was 14 where it got really bad. My hormones, of course, were all over the place. I started breaking out a lot and I had really, really bad acne. I didn't know how to deal with it, I think. I took it very, very personally. My focus was very egocentric, and of course that's normal because now as an adult who has studied psychology for so many years, I know that children and teenagers, they have a very narcissistic view of the world. And, you know, as a teen, you think that everything is about you. You know, other kids, if you hear them laughing, you think they're laughing about you. You know, you have bad skin, you think that the whole world focuses on that. People are gossiping about that. People are ridiculing you. And yes, sure, I got bullied a little bit, but I know that I exaggerated way more in my mind, of course, and I took it way, way, way more personally. I was in a really bad spot with my skin. I covered up all the mirrors in the house. I didn't want to look at myself. I used to cry almost every single day. I used to skip quite a lot of school. I felt so sad and so depressed. I don't want to say coping mechanisms, but one of the maybe punishments that I used to do is that I used to pick on my skin as well. So my skin was already bad, but then I would like poke it, I would scratch it, I would go look in the mirror and like, you know, pop all of the pimples, and I would make it much worse. I would inflame it much more, of course, and then I felt even worse about myself. So it was a very toxic cycle that I was in. I remember once I was sitting in a math class and there was a girl sitting next to me, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, what happened to you?" Because I had this really quite big wound on my forehead. And I told her that the day before I was in the kitchen, I was opening a cabinet and the cabinet like scratched me on my forehead. And she was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." But in reality, it was not a cabinet. I just went completely crazy the evening before, like picking on my skin so bad where like I opened a wound and I was bleeding and it formed this like big scab on my forehead. And it makes me feel so sad looking back, honestly, because I know it was already bad, but I made it so much worse and I kind of made myself feel even worse. And I put myself in this like punishment cycle, wishing I was like the other girls, wishing that I had clear skin. I used to think, oh my God, what wouldn't I do if I just had clear skin? I went to so many dermatologists, I tried so many different products, and like nothing worked. I was really, really sad. And then as I was sort of transitioning, you know, into the age of 18 and 19, my skin did get better, was much, much clearer. I think also, of course, my hormones were stabilizing or kind of getting into balance more as well. But still, even from the ages of 19 till now, I do have moments where especially I get very stressed, or my digestion isn't going well, or I have really big changes in my life that immediately my skin flares up. And biggest learning, or I think biggest observation that I've had as an adult is that barely anyone has perfect skin. Now I realize that. I look at adults and I'm like, man, like, why did I worry so much as a kid about, oh my God, I have breakouts, what if I'm gonna get some acne? When in reality, like, we're human, we're imperfect. Sure, we have breakouts, things like that, but like perfection doesn't exist. And I used to hold myself accountable to one day have this like perfect skin. And I wouldn't say that happened. I mean, my skin is so much better now, and I have also gotten more comfortable not wearing any makeup, like right now. And sure, I have a couple of spots and maybe there's a little bit more redness here and there, here or there. But at the end of the day, I'm like, this is what I look like. If I was wearing a lot of makeup right now, that's not what I actually look like. This is what I actually look like. And when I met my boyfriend 2.5 years ago, I was going through a lot of changes and my skin really was not great. I was breaking out quite a lot. I have pictures from that time as well. And I felt so insecure. And I remember one day he told me, you know, like, you don't have to wear makeup, just like, it's fine. I actually prefer if you don't wear makeup, just let your skin breathe, you know, like don't cover it up with all that stuff that's most likely not even good for your skin. And I told him how insecure I felt all my life about my skin, and I think it looks so bad. And you know, if he would kiss my cheek or something, I would freak out because I'm like, oh my God, like my skin is so bad. And he told me like, I really don't care, you know, like I'm looking at you as a whole person. It's not like I'm just focused on your skin. That was a fantastic example, and he is a lovely, lovely guy. But a few months before I met him, I actually was talking to a guy as well. And he indirectly told me that he thinks people who have like, you know, troubles with their skin or blackheads or, you know, acne, it looks so dirty and so unprofessional. And like, why wouldn't you just like, you know, wash your face or go to like a dermatologist? And it took me everything to not punch him or yell at him or say something super mean. I was just kind of smiling like, okay, interesting. You really think that people that have acne and break out, they have not tried everything humanly possible to clear up their skin, and you think it's as simple as just washing your face? Yeah, that didn't add to my confidence, because he practically told me, I think you look unprofessional and dirty, when I already had years of insecurity behind me because of my skin. So this is just a reminder that good guys exist, but also these like the previous guy also exist. So now as an adult, almost 26 years old, I couldn't care less if I break out sometimes. I think I have realized that it's much more than just my skin. Like my self-worth and my self-confidence shouldn't be just based on my skin. And I still have a habit of picking on my skin. It is much less than I used to have. In the beginning, when I met my boyfriend, I was picking on my skin so much more, and he bought me this little fidget cube to kind of keep my hands busy. But especially now, if I feel stressed or I already don't feel good about myself, this is the sort of, again, self-punishment, I guess, activity or coping mechanism that I go to, is where I start picking on my skin. I will scratch it, I will stretch it, I'll find something like a little bump and I will really go hard at it and I'll start bleeding, and it's not good, I recognize that. But I've also had this, you know, behavior for so many years that it's taking me a lot of time and a lot of effort to not do it as much as I used to. I am happy that I'm able to kind of take a step back and zoom out much more and realize that as a teenager, of course, my focus was way more on myself, and I was so, of course, egocentric, you know, oh, people are looking at my skin, people are, you know, like gossiping. And sure, there were some people that would talk to me and like stare at my forehead, because I'm sure they were like shocked, like, how could your skin be this bad? But at the same time, I'm not a teenager anymore. I know so many people, and most of them don't have perfect skin. And the very few that do, like my best friend, she even says that I recognize that it's not normal that I have such clear skin all the time since she's been a teen. But it's also genetics, right? So we don't have to look at just like the anomalies. If you look at everyone as a whole, people have something, okay? You have some pimples, you break out, you have something here, there, like it's just, there will always be something. But right now, I'm happy that I'm mature enough to recognize that it's not just about my skin, it doesn't determine my worth. Sure, I can feel insecure and I can feel sad and I can feel, you know, not as confident when I do break out. But I also know now that I need to manage my stress levels. I know that my skin health is also linked with my digestive health quite a lot. So I am less stressed about it, and now when I do break out, I'm like, all right, this is me. I'm breaking out, my skin is purging, it needs to do something, you know, it's a smart organ. There's a reason why things like that are happening. What can it be indicating? But I'm not like completely, you know, punishing myself and saying, oh my God, I don't have clear skin. I am so freaking awful. Nobody's ever gonna love me. People think I'm ugly. I just should stay home and not leave the house. So yes, I've had a complicated relationship with my skin for 13 years, but the last year especially, it has been much, much better. So if you are somebody as well who struggles with your confidence about your skin, and especially if you're under 18, please listen to me and hear me out when I say, I know how it feels to feel so insecure about your skin, but you are so much more than your skin. You are a whole person, and this is just one small aspect of you. And sure, you know, it doesn't feel great, but just give yourself a breather. You are worthy, and you are so much more than just your skin. And I hope that one day you can recognize that as much as I finally have recognized that as well.